I'm sure that most people have heard about the recent case overturning Roe v. Wade submitted by the Supreme Court. But if you ask people the parties involved or what this really means or how the court even got that power, a lot of people are pretty clueless as to what the Supreme Court actually is or what they're doing and why. This is something that I think is a really big problem because it is important for people to know their rights and the powers of their government. But the United States makes that a little bit difficult, and it's so broad that it's hard for people to really understand. I have studied constitutional law for about 4 years now. I'm studying the pre-law program here at UWEC, and I'm planning on going to law school in the next 2 years. And this is something that I think is incredibly important. So I'm going to talk about how the Supreme Court got the power to decide the cases that it does, how Congress got the powers that they have to make the laws that they do, and one of the constitutional amendments that I think is incredibly important regarding our rights in this government. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the powers of Congress. One of the things listed in the Constitution was that Congress has the power to do whatever is necessary and proper to be able to fulfill other constitutional duties. This wasn't really as broad until the court case of McCulloch v. Maryland. In this case, the court decided that whatever is necessary and proper to be done needs to be done to fulfill those duties, but they took it to another level and they made it a lot more broad. In this case, Congress wanted to start a national bank, and some people were really upset about that, and they said, can Congress really do that? And so the court used the idea that, of course, one of the duties of Congress is to regulate interstate commerce. So if they're going to do that, then chartering a national bank could be argued to be necessary and proper to fulfill that duty. So it became a lot more broad after this case, and that's essentially why Congress makes laws about pretty much whatever they want. Speaking of the Supreme Court, our next case is how the Supreme Court got the powers to decide the cases that they do. The Supreme Court is able to grant cases on writ of certiorari or appellate jurisdiction. Writ of certiorari is important because that's basically saying if there's a case asking if something is constitutional or not, it's the Supreme Court's decision. And they also have appellate jurisdiction. So if you don't really like the way that your court case went, you have one right of appeal. But if each court above thinks that it's an important question to be asked, or a law should be changed, or your trial just went wrong, then it keeps getting sent on appeal, and the Supreme Court is your last option. So in this case, they decided that those are the two circumstances where the court can make these decisions and has jurisdiction. This is very important because this is kind of it's the highest ranking court in the country. So this is kind of your last stop, right? This has to be top jurisdiction. Whatever they say goes. And it's their job to interpret the laws. Now that we kind of understand how Congress and the Supreme Court got their powers, we should talk about one of our rights that we have in spite of that. So the Fourth Amendment, the right against unreasonable search and seizure, is very, very important. It's a very overlooked amendment in the Bill of Rights. So essentially, in this case, Mapp v. Ohio, Dalry Mapp was hiding a convict in her house. She was harboring a fugitive, right? And the cops came to her house and they asked if they could do a search, and she knew her rights, so she said no. But the police forged a warrant and they came to her house, and so she had to let them in because she didn't know that it was a fake warrant. So while they were there, they found obscene materials, which they then charged her with possessing. This was granted to be illegal because this is an unreasonable search and it's illegally obtained evidence. So in this case, the court was questioning whether illegally obtained evidence could be used for conviction, and they essentially decided no. This is a really important right that we have that I think more people should know about. And truly, I think that more people should know about the government in the first place because they have a lot of power over us, but the powers that we have are very important as well. The power of the people is much stronger than the people in power, and we all need to remember that. I hope that I was able to educate you on how our government works a little bit more and what you can do to protect yourself.